Today's video is Millennial teachers versus Gen Alpha students.
School kids are not reading. Kids are not reading. Kids cannot read. It doesn't matter if your child's at an A school or if your child's at a D school or if your child's at a charter school or a private school. I have seen kids at all areas. They all struggle. They all struggle because they don't have exposure and they don't have consistency with reading. We can blame the department.
Well, I don't know what she's talking about. I have 3 children. Now one is a millennial and the other 2 are Gen Alpha. Both of my younger kids can read, have been able to read for quite some time. But I did pull them out of school, public school, probably about 4th grade, because one night we all sat down to play Monopoly and neither one of them knew how to count money. And that's when the wife and I decided that public school was not working out for us.
Department of Education, we can blame the literacy rates being at an all-time high. We can blame the schools, the teachers, but education teacher of 4 years, I specifically teach kids with learning disabilities how to read and to read accurately. We're not talking about teaching kids to read with special education disabilities. We're talking about teaching kids to read that have not had that exposure and that just cannot read, and no environmental factors included. Exposure and consistency. These 2 things are most important when reading, and these kids are not exposed to reading at a young age, and they do not have consistent reading, whether that's at school, at home. They don't have enough exposure of reading in general. The perception of teaching kids to read is it is the teacher's job to teach their children to read. It is the school's job to teach their children to read. Have you been in a public education classroom recently? Teacher to student ratio makes it nearly impossible to differentiate all different reading levels consistently. And I'm talking every single day for targeted reading instruction. You can have...
Yes, it is the school's function to teach kids to read. I was taught to read in school. I remember doing my letters and my numbers and having to get it in front of the class and read out of a book. So I don't know what you people are doing. Maybe I don't know where this particular teacher is, a big city or whatever, but I feel the public education that I got when I was a kid was pretty good. But that was back whenever they actually taught useful things. Reading, writing, arithmetic, you know, the standard stuff instead of whatever the hell they're teaching them now. Let's continue.
Have the most experienced and most knowledgeable reading expert teaching your child. If you are not doing it consistently, and I mean at least 4 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes a session, it's not going to be effective. If you have elementary school kids that are reading at grade level or even below.
Now, if the parents aren't invested in their child, yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I just thought it was a typical thing that you put your kids to bed and you sit down and you read a story with them. Is that not the case with everybody? I don't know. Just my experience.
Low grade level, get them a tutor, get them extra support to give them those skills to have them be successful with reading. Reading is not meant to be natural, but you need consistency, exposure, and somebody that is qualified and knows the science of reading for it.
Yeah, because we can all afford tutors. This seems a little out of touch.
To be successful for any child in a short amount of time.
This person is asking, people often mention that students are losing their ability to read and write like they used to. Did you notice any decline in your last years of teaching? So I started teaching in '92, I retired in 2024, and I noticed a significant decline. And I will say there are a few different factors. I talked in another video about one of the factors being that students are not reading anymore. They're not reading on their own. They're not reading for class assignments. I stopped giving independent reading because students were just not doing it and were happy to take the 0 or the F or the D.
All right, well, right there, that's a lack of consequences. Yeah, if I come home with a failing grade, anything below a C, you can bet mom and dad was going to be upset. And and that was not pleasant. I think that's a big problem with parents today. Discipline. Kids need discipline. In fact, they crave it. And then the other thing about the reading assignments, I hated that in school. Not that I hated reading, I just hated the books that we were assigned. You know, how about expose the kids to different sorts of books and see if they find something that they enjoy reading. If you just keep giving them Shakespeare and just the same old book that you give every student every year, you know, not everybody's going to be into that. Anyway.
In order to not read the book, so they were actively trying not to read anything. I started reading to them, which definitely did help. But when you're not reading, you're also not expanding your vocabulary, and the way that you communicate also narrows as well. And another factor that I started to notice, especially around like 2022, was a lot of students just don't care. And that's heartbreaking. It really, really is, because they don't care that...
They don't care because they're kids and they don't know any better. They don't care because there's no consequences. They don't care because the school's just gonna let them go to the next grade up anyway.
Their grades are low. They don't care that they're not reading. And when I had honest conversations with some of my students, I got the constant refrain that nothing is going to work for them anyway. They're never going to be able to get ahead. They're never going to be able to own a home. They're never going to be able to raise a family like their parents.
I wonder where they get that from. Millennials, you want to chime in? Where do they get that shit from? Oh, I'm never going to have a home. I'm never going to do this. Well, you know, with that attitude, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Parents and grandparents did, so why even try? And of course, I did all my usual pep talks, and I try to encourage them in tangible ways. But when they have that feeling in high school, and when education isn't valued or pushed at home, that's a deadly combination for a kid to say, why am I going to read this? Who cares if I know how to write a paragraph, a sentence, because I'm never going to need it? I'm really curious if other teachers have seen this in their career as well. I will target the big decline starting around 2021, 2022, but I saw another decline in the value of education and the desire to learn reading and writing happen around like 2016. Has anybody else experienced that in the classroom? And if you...
I will give something for this gal here. She does seem like she genuinely cares.
You were a student who used to feel that way and you don't feel that way anymore. What made it change?
Here's my hot take on why reading is bad, so bad in America today. For one, electronics. Children are put on a tablet, they're put on a TV screen, they have phones at the right age of 6 and 7. They don't read anything, they don't watch regular TV, they don't see commercials. They are glued to a screen 24/7 with instant gratification.
I don't know what they're watching that doesn't have commercials, but please enlighten me where that is.
They don't know how to be bored. They don't know how to use their imagination. In return, they cannot hold a conversation, which plays a part in reading and writing, whether you believe that or not. They cannot hold a steady conversation. They do not know how to be bored. They do not know how to use their imagination. They need something to constantly entertain them 24/7. So when they get in a school building and they're sitting in...
You know, remember the best teachers I had back in school, and they were entertaining, engaging, challenging. I'm not saying that the kids and the parents don't have problems, but as a teacher, You can either be a good teacher and be those things, or you can be a bad teacher that just, makes your time.
And in these seats right here, because they are not constantly entertained and constantly shown something to grasp their attention that they like, they cannot pay attention. Next, number 2, uninvolved parents. Okay? Parents who do not read with their children at home, do not do their homework with them, do not work with your child outside, have conversations with them, take them places, tell them what things are, talk to them like they're, older than what they are. 3, hate to say this, but parents who do not want to take accountability, okay? When their child gets home from school, it's going to take the extra mile for you to sit down and work with your child, for you to work to see what your child does not understand. Have them build their fluency, because they cannot read, but you don't know that, okay? Sitting down with your child every single night takes time away from the parent to do what they want to do and sit down and do what they need to do with their children. 4, okay? The second the child starts spelling, it is no longer, well, what can I do at home? It is now become the problem, the teacher's problem. Well, you have them for 8 hours a day, so it's your job to figure it out. And if my child fails, that's on you. That is incorrect. I have them for 90 minutes a day, not 8 hours. They have to go to lunch. They have to go to specials. They have to go to recess, all of which the second that gets taken away, that's when parents start to care. Okay, so the problem is that we have uninvolved parents, constant screen time, okay, and children who do not know how to be bored. And in return, when we're not putting in the...
Well, who the hell wants to be bored? I mean, really, who wants to be bored? Is that some sort of lesson that you need to learn? Good Lord. In my line of work, I've been through so many meetings that you just like, this could have been done in a single paragraph email. If you want, stop being boring. How about that? Stop being boring. Yes, I know it's difficult to be entertaining all the time. And I'm not a teacher, never have been. I mean, I teach my kids stuff, but, it's not like other people's kids and whatnot. So I'm going to finish this up here. From my experience in schools are teaching a lot of nonsense. They're not sticking to the basics: the reading, the writing, the arithmetic, real skills that human beings need to live life. And this poor woman here, I could just see her at a parent-teacher conference. She is likely to break down. So that's my take on all this. Really, just stick to the basics. Let the kids run around. We got too many little beefy kids running around. Let them run around. Let them play. Let them be kids. Take their iPads away. Play a little kickball, or just grab ass on the damn playground, whatever. And then teach them, and then let them run around some more. These kids are full of energy, and sitting them in a classroom, and I remember this as a kid, I hated that. Just this boring sitting there, wanting to be anywhere else. And I can see that school hasn't changed all that much. Anyway, that's my take. Gen X out.